Hi, here we are again at the Cancer Support Community, and I'm not alone. I'm joined by my wonderful supervisor, Erica. Erica, you want to just tell everybody who you are in case there's an info?
So I'm Erica. Delaware, and I get the honor of doing the seated Tai Chi today. So thanks for letting me join.
Yes, and this is certainly not Erica's first time at the rodeo. This is not a rodeo, by the way. It's way easier and a lot more fun than that. But I always feel that it's valuable to show people the seated version of this amazing Tai Chi Cha practice because you never know when you're going to not be able to walk one day. You can slip off the bottom stair on your way out to walk the dog and break your ankle.
I hope you don't.
I hope you don't, but it's possible. You can get hit by a truck. I mean, you never know. It's lower extremity injuries always, they just happen with no warning. So it's a great idea to know how to do Tai Chi Cha from the chair, and many people swear that it's just as powerful, if not more so. So this is always a lot of fun. Oh, and by the way, I'm Jessica Lewis. And I'm the founder of a company called Sculpt Your Life. You can find me very easily on Google. I'll even give you the web address later. And one other little piece of business I wanted to tell you is normally I'm here every second and fourth Wednesdays at noon, but this month, since there are 5 Wednesdays and there was a bit of a conflict, I will not be here on the fourth Wednesday of the month. I will be here on the fifth Wednesday of the month at noon, and there will be live participants here that day in
Yes,
addition
so
to
if you live in
virtual.
Newcastle County, we welcome you to come in person that day. You'll be hearing more about it in our
You're so
emails and
excited.
newsletters. So we're excited to start bringing people back in
Yeah.
person.
If the weather's good, are we going to be outside that day?
Oh, absolutely.
So great. Can you tell I like that? Yeah, I like
That's our favorite. Tai Chi is
that. So good. All right, so Tai Chi Cha. What is this thing called Tai Chi Cha? There are lots of Tai Chi practices in the world. In fact, in the Western Hemisphere, you could probably find about 50 different kinds of Tai Chi classes if you go look them up. But there's one distinction between all the Tai Chi practices. You can literally tell them all apart. Maybe not from the naked eye, but if you examine them ever so slightly more closely, you can tell them all apart with by using this one distinction. All Tai Chi practices either fall into the category of being what we call something with a martial application. That means it's a very slow mo martial art, right? Or they fall into the category of nothing other than moving meditation. And the thing I love most about Tai Chi Cha, although I am accredited in 3 different styles of Tai Chi, is this is the only practice that falls into the moving meditation category. So it makes it so much more relevant to the larger audience. And in addition to that, Tai Chi Cha is generally experienced as far easier to learn and a lot more fun. So why on earth wouldn't I teach the practice that's more accessible to more people, right? So that's what we're up to here. There's only about 20 movements. In between each one of the movements, we're going to flow from and then back to like a position of motionlessness. And that's one of the reasons why it's easier to learn for a lot of people because they don't have to memorize everything in order. And in fact, all the research on Tai Chi Cha always says that it doesn't matter if you do things out of order or don't even do all the movements, as long as you spend at least 15 minutes a day. I think 30 is better, but 15 minutes a day is not a lot of skin in the game to get some really amazing results. And I've worked with a number of cancer patients and a number of people to and through the last days of their lives. Tai Chi Chuan can be a very vital part of not just living well, but maybe even dying well. So, anyway, let's get down to it. I'll tell you what, let's first just have a few minutes of noticing our bodies, really getting into our bodies. So let's do this. Go ahead and take a comfortable seat in your chair. And it might be a valuable use of your time to move a little bit closer to the front edge of the chair. In the fitness world, we call this redlining. Because if we sat here long enough, you might get a red line at the top of your thigh where it meets the butt. But we have nice cushy chairs today, so we're not going to have red lines. So, but the most important thing is now you're in charge of your own spine. You're not leaning back. You're not slumping back against the chair. So I think the easiest way to get comfortable when you're in charge of your own spine is to sort of visualize your head almost like a helium balloon that has lost a tiny bit of its helium. You know how under those conditions, it won't float up endlessly into the stratosphere, it will simply hover. So just notice your head floating there very effortlessly. You can, even if you like, imagine the great puppeteer up in the sky is just suspending you up by a single invisible thread right there. And then just visualize your spine hanging down as easily from the nape of your neck, or the bottom of your skull there, as a string would hang down from a weightless balloon. Just think about your body in that easygoing way. And then with your mind's eye, just sort of travel down the spine, and all the way at the bottom there, you're going to find your sit bones touching the chair. So just notice the feelings of your sit bones touching the chair. And I'll tell you what, let's take a little mental tour down the rest of your body too. Just feel your thighs pretty much right in front of your hips. Just notice them there. If we keep on going, maybe even feel your hands, the weight of your hands resting on your thighs. And then just make sure that your feet are directly under your knees and feel them resting against whatever hard surface they're resting against, the insides of your shoes or the floor if you're barefooted. Now let's all take a nice deep breath. And since we're in the chair today, just find a spot somewhere between your belly button and the soles of your feet, inside your body, to focus your attention on. Just notice that spot with your mind's eye. And we're going to, as the Buddhists would say, call the bell. That's a fancy way of me saying I'm going to ring this bell 3 times. And until I call you back with an additional 3 times, I want you to simply notice the spot that you've picked inside your body, in your inner landscape. Just look at it. Just look at it with your mind's eye, with your awareness. And if your mind wanders, by the way, all that means is you're a human being and you're normal. You just invite it back to the spot as many times as necessary. Nothing is wrong with you, by the way. So here we go. So here we are back again. Now reason why I have Erica facing forward and me facing sideways is because some of the things I'm going to tell you today may make more sense if you see two different perspectives. So this is a real advantage of having somebody else in the room. The other thing I wanted to say before we do all these movements, or as many of them as we have time for, is the main distinction between the seated and the standing practices. Many people claim that when they're doing it from the chair, they have a much more obvious awareness of what's going on in the midsection of their body than they do when they're standing. And that's, I think, one reason why seated Tai Chi Cha is so valuable, because even in the standing practice, when you're moving forward, back, or side to side, what's really happening is your Dantian, which is that sort of energetic heart in the middle of you, is flowing forward, back, or side to side, and the whole rest of the body sort of follows along for the ride. But especially when you're sort of new or green to the practice, that's kind of esoteric. It's more obvious when you're seated. Even if you have no working knowledge of Tai Chi Cha, you can really feel what's going on in your dantian, in that energetic heart that resides about halfway between your belly button and your groin and about halfway between the front and the back of you. It's like a big ball of energy. All the ancient cultures, by the way, believe that there is such a thing. They all have different names. Some of them sound the same. We won't go there. Let's first feel the dantian. It's very, very easy to do, especially in the forward backward movements. So I'll tell you what, do this for me. Let's all do it together. Find your belly button. Mine's about here. And then put one hand below it, about halfway between the belly button and your groin. Okay. Take your other hand and put it on the curvy part of your back. If you know where your tailbone is, you're going just a little bit above that, in the curvy part of your low back. And I don't care if you do it with the palm or the back of your hand, whatever feels comfortable to your hand and your wrist and your shoulder is fine with me. All right, now you may not know it, but your sit bones, those two little bones that are touching the chair right now that get uncomfortable if you sit there too long, they're curvy. In fact, here's my model of the human pelvis. Can you see it? Right. This is the way the pelvis is positioned when you're standing, so that the femurs can hang. So the femur can hang straight down and you can walk. But when you're seated, the pelvis goes like this. The tailbone tucks under, and that's why you feel this discomfort if you sit too long in your sit bones. These are the sit bones. But notice they're curvy. Many people don't remember that when they're feeling pain in their sit bones. They're curvy. And what that means is very, 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 very easily, you can allow your pelvis to kind of roll forward and roll back. And it's a great way to relieve any discomfort in your sit bones if you've been sitting for too long. So let's do that together with one hand in front and one hand in back. Let's just roll slightly forward. Don't bend forward or lean forward. Just let your pelvis roll a little forward. And allow your pelvis to roll a little back. And allow yourself to roll forward. And allow yourself to roll back. Some people call this sort of pelvic tucking. You could call it this way, but that sort of implies a lot of work. I like to just say it's as if, well, curvy things move pretty easily on flat things. That's why balls roll across a flat floor, right? So allow your pelvis to move as easily as a ball would roll across a flat floor. And you may be able to see by looking at me and Erica that as we roll forward, the entire torso kind of elongates, and you probably feel an expansion under your front hand. Do you feel that, Erica? And when you roll back, the torso kind of shrinks a little bit, and the back of you sort of flattens out a little bit. Do you notice that also? The curviness gets less curvy. You're actually kind of expanding in the back versus expanding in the front. Let's roll forward. Let's roll back. Let's do one more forward and one more back. And now let's just let the hands hang down, palms facing out. And we're going to do the first move. Just follow the movement of the Dantian or the pelvis, the tailbone, the curviness of your low back, whatever you want to follow. You know how to do it now. And as we roll forward, the hands are going to float up. And as we roll back, the hands are going to float back. And then they're going to roll forward as you roll forward and float back as you roll back. So here we are letting the whole body kind of come along for the ride, following along the expansion and contraction of that beautiful energetic heart in there. The Chinese call it the Dantian. And one reason why this is the way we do any Tai Chi practice is all about the expansion contraction of the Dantian. But the reason why we do it in Tai Chi Chuan specifically is because this is one of the ways that Tai Chi Chuan keeps you healthy or makes you healthier. It just sort of reminds the body how to move in ways that it probably already knows how to move because everything in the universe works best when it follows along certain governing principles. We know this from physics. Expansion and contraction, that subtle dance between the two, back and forth, that is one of the main governing principles of the universe. Everything is in constant flux between expansion and contraction. So that's all we're doing. And you almost can't tell when the direction changes, it just does. So see if you can allow your hands and even this back and forth motion of the Dantian to be as continuous as possible. Kind of like waves on the beach. You know how they wash up and you don't really notice when they change directions because they don't actually stop, but they do change directions. And then they turn around and they change directions again. So generally speaking, we only do about 9 reps of each one of the movements. I think we've probably done about 27 rocky motions. That's okay. It's mostly considered the big warm-up movement, so you can always do a lot more rocky motions. Let's do a couple more, and this will be our last one. And to end it, we're just going to let the hands float down to the knees and just be in neutral for a moment. Just feel the body at rest, the same way we did when we were using the bell. And let's go ahead and do bird flaps its wings, okay? So we're going to put the hands together. Actually, make sure that the palms are as close as the fingers. It's almost like you're going to pray, but you just turn your palms down and then you give them a little breathing room. And they're going to hang out right in front of your dantian, because when it expands, they're going to get out of its way, okay? So let yourself do that. Just let your dantian expand and the hands will move out to the side. And as it contracts, they will move back. Let's do that again. Now this time, when the fingertips move out, you're going to draw a circle in the air, mostly with the middle finger on each hand, and then flow back. That was beautiful. Erica's so good at this. It isn't her first time at the rodeo, but it's only like her third or fourth time that she's done the class. So she really, look how easy it is. You don't have to have a lot of experience to be good at this, right? No. Here comes a circle again. And let's do another set. And most of the movements are done in series of 9, but sometimes they're 3 sets, and sometimes each set has 3 pieces to it. This is a good example of that. And just float back down to rest. And even just notice your head just kind of floating there. Notice the spine hanging down. Feel your sit bones touching the chair. Just notice yourself at rest. I'll tell you what, to save some time, let's blend a couple of these movements together so you get a feel for as many movements as possible today. It's way easier to sort of shift gears from one movement to another when you're seated because it takes less time. You don't have to step out, step back in, all that stuff. But I'd like all of us to place the left foot out just like an inch. It's mostly a metaphor because if you were standing, you would have one foot much farther out than the other. And it would help you know which direction to let your hands flow when we're going to do the next couple of movements. Now, let's all visualize that we have a big platter out in front of pretty much out in front of the heart. It's about the size of what you can hold in your arms, with your fingers touching, right? And it's level, because if it weren't level, things would slide off the front or slide down into your chest. We don't want any mess on our chest, and we don't want any big spill on the floor. So now also I want you to think of the possibility that you have a little ball of energy underneath each hand, and the balls of energy are on the platter. Okay? I usually use this to illustrate my Dantian, but right now we'll use it as the energy balls for the platter. We're going to do something called around the platter. So the hands start at the back of the heart, and because your left foot is out ever so slightly, we're going to flow out over the left leg and come back over the right. We're just going to make a circle on the platter. So here we go. As you let the Dantian expand, the hands roll forward, and the contraction will pull them back. And we're just going to keep going. And let's do one more like this. And now we're going to add a variation of the hands. Just lift the fingers as if you're suddenly holding one ball between them. And you're going to let that move out towards the front of the platter and drop off the lip. And there's the variation again. So this is around the platter variation. We're going to do one more like that. Now we're going to do one more thing with the hands. Just turn them over so suddenly it's as if they're under the platter. And when you go out, you're just going to run your fingers around the underside of the platter. This move is called pulling in the energy. Let's do one more like that. And just pull the front foot in, flow back to quietness, flow back to stillness, flow back to rest for a few moments. Let's do a movement called push-pull. Ah, we didn't do the other side. Forget that. Put your right foot out 1 inch. I thought that was too fast. Another thing I love about Tai Chi Cha is there's no such thing as bad Tai Chi Cha. It's all good and it just keeps getting gooder. So that also means there's no Tai Chi Cha police. Obviously, I make mistakes all the time and I'm still here to teach you. So you just witnessed one of those. Let's do the other side. So first we're going to do 3 around the platters. We'll follow that with 3 around the platter variations. And then we'll do 3 pulling in the energies. Okay, so here we are in the back of the platter. And as the dantian expands, the hands will move out over the leg that's out there. In this case, it's the right. And again. And again. Now just lift the fingers and guide that energy ball right off the front of the platter there. That's around the platter variation. Lift the fingers again. Nice. One more time. And now we're going to turn the fingers over and we're going to pull in some energy. And again. And one more time. And we're just going to pull that right foot in and float back. Just feel your body resting for a moment or so. Just heard a beep. Are we okay? Yeah. Let's do bass drum. Clearly one of everybody's most favorite movements. Let's place the left foot out ever so slightly. The hands are going to come up to about chest height, about shoulder width apart, because good quality bass drums are about this width apart. And they're the same width all the way around, or else they won't sound right. And if you were in a high school marching band and you actually were in charge of the bass drum, it would be strapped to your chest. It would be right out in front of your body. So as we allow the Dantian to expand, the fingertips are going to roll around the outside edge of the bass drum. Now, remember, one of the cool things about Tai Chi Cha is that it's so easy. In fact, it's so easy, we say the trick to doing it is by using the effort of no effort at all. So I want you to utterly, utterly relax, especially your hands and wrists and fingers. Okay. So you might even begin to notice that as your hands roll down around the outside edge of the bass drum, it's like gravity causes the fingers to just drop. Just let yourself sink into the forces of nature here. We're just going to relax completely. Move slow motion as if you're moving through a dream. Okay. So here we go. Let's do bass drum. Allowing the Dantian to expand by rolling forward on those sit bones and feeling the contraction as you roll back. We're just going to let it move the hands around for you. Let's go ahead and do 6 of these. Nice. One more. And we're going to end it by simply floating back to rest and taking a moment to feel the body resting in the chair. And let's do the other side. Let's place the right foot out ever so slightly and the hands will come up. And here we go. And I already talked about the principle of expansion and contraction, right? In Tai Chi Cha speak, we call this yinning and yanning or flowing from the center. But what I really like about enabling people to really tap into their Dantian right from the get-go is because I'll tell you what, that is the essence of meditation right there. Let's do one more. And flowing back to rest. Just feel the body at rest for a moment. Let's place the left foot out ever so slightly. We're going to do a movement called daughter on the mountaintop. And we're just going to turn the palms over, right? And as the Dantian expands, the hands will rise almost as if they're going to clap, but then they're going to miss each other at the top. The left hand will end up being a little closer to the body of the right. So just copy us. Okay, you ready? Here we go. As the Dantian expands, the hands move up. As it contracts, it pulls them down. Right. So I often think of the Dantian as sort of the ocean if you drop down just a little bit below the surface. Or I should say the ocean during a class 5 hurricane if you drop down just a little bit below the surface. Let's do one more. And then just float back down to rest. Feel the body resting for a moment. Let's place the right foot out ever so slightly. Turn the palms over. We're going to do the same thing. Even though we change feet, we're not going to change the hands. The left hand will still be closer to the body than the right. Okay? So here we go. As the Dantian expands, the hands move up. The contraction pulls them back down. So think about the ocean in the middle of a class 5 hurricane for a minute. All hell is breaking loose on the surface, right? I mean, like, people are dying up there. But if you just drop down a little bit deeper, it's pretty quiet, pretty still down there. It's not even very bright. There's no bursts of explosions or glare. It's kind of cool and blue. We're going to do one more. We're going to call this 6, even if it's not. Feel the body resting for a moment. Perhaps noticing how quiet it is inside that Dantian of yours. So by putting you in touch with your Dantian more thoroughly than maybe you've ever experienced it before, or at all for some of you, I'm putting you in touch with that still, small, quiet, always the same, nothing changes, nothing wrong spot, like the ocean during the middle of a class 5 hurricane. There's real benefit to this, both metaphysically and physically. Let's do the opposite or complementary move of the one we just did. This one is called Daughter in the Valley. We're going to place the left foot out ever so slightly. And this time we're going to bring the hands up to about where they were for bass drum, only facing out. Okay. And as the Dantian expands, it's going to sweep the hands together and they're going to rise. And as the Dantian contracts, they're going to begin to carry down. And here we go again. So for those of you who are looking at Erica rather than me, you can see why this movement is so beautifully complementary to the other. Because the first movement was sort of like she was unzipping her jacket, and now it's like you're zipping it back up again, right? And we're going to do one more. And then just flow back down to rest. Feel the body resting. And then place the right foot out ever so slightly. Let's do the other side. Here we go. Feel the expansion of the Dantian and the hands kind of getting out of its way. And feel either the contraction in the front or the expansion in the back of you as it pulls the hands back down towards it. One more. And flowing back to rest. Feel the body resting. Just notice it. How often in life do you actually stop to feel the sensations in your body in the present moment without any judgment? Another reason why this is like a moving meditation. Let's do push-pull. We're going to place the left foot out ever so slightly. The hands are going to come up to in front of the shoulders. And you'll have a really good visual here because you have a view of both the front and the side of this. So as the Dantian expands, the hands expand also. And as the Dantian contracts, it pulls them back in. And of course, since this movement, this practice, is done by using the effort of no effort, the easiest ways for all this to occur is to just let the hands dip down and then come up and turn around and keep traveling without stopping. Let's do one more. I think that was 6. We're going to call it 6. And feel the body resting. And let's do the other side. We're going to place the left foot out. And the hands come up to the shoulders. And here we go. expanding, contracting, moving softly and smoothly as if in a dream, applying as much circularity as one possibly can in all the movements, or at least continuousness, circuitry. One more. And flowing back to stillness, feeling the body resting. Circularity, another huge governing principle of the universe. Everything in the universe is constantly moving in circles, right? We call it seasons, orbits, whatever, days. Right? Softness, huge governing principle of the universe. Softness beats hardness every time. How do you think the Grand Canyon happened? Usually, by the way, your tongue will last longer than your teeth. Did you ever stop to think about that? Bamboo bends, oak trees snap off. There's a big stone. Softness, always the way to go. Let's do another really circular movement now. We're going to do carry the ball to the side. It's actually a side-to-side movement that's sort of sandwiched in the middle of a whole bunch of forward-backward movements in the suggested order of the practice. But I often like to teach it after I've done all the forward-backward movements because it has so much in common with the other side-to-side movements. So here's how we're going to do this in the chair. So rather than allowing the pelvis to just sort of roll forward and back and feeling the expansion and the contraction in the front and the back of the Dantian and the pelvis, we're going to think of the upper body, or think of the spine actually, almost like a stack of coins, a stack of Oreos. Yum! Who doesn't like Oreos, right? But instead of, I have a little sun in my eye, instead of that gooey sort of non-food in the middle of an Oreo cookie, right? Let's think of the white spaces as the discs of your vertebra, right? So now, in order to move forward and back in the seated Tai Chi Chuan practice, we just allow that stack of Oreos to float forward and back. And the only thing that's moving is the curvy sit bones are kind of rolling. But that stack of Oreos is kind of moving forward and back as one stack, right? But when we move side to side, that stack is just going to rotate from side to side. And because the spine and the bones and the skeleton are all connected, the way you'll know if that's actually occurring is you'll notice one shoulder will come forward and one will go back, and then the other way. And you might also notice your weight shifting quite subtly from one sit bone to the other. And you'll also notice one knee kind of sliding forward while the other one slides back. And you'll notice the other knee kind of sliding forward while the other one slides back. That way you'll know that your stack of Oreos is rotating rather than leaning. And you know, if I had a stack of Oreos and it just leaned over, the top ones would topple. Also, if I wanted to move that stack of Oreos, I could just sort of push it from the bottom and it would move without toppling. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We're just going to let it rotate from side to side. All right, so let's do this. Let's all turn our stack of Oreos to our right. And you'll probably all notice that your left knee just slid forward. And you'll notice that your right shoulder just went back. Let's keep our eyes forward though. That's another good way to know the difference between a practice with a martial application and one that's just moving meditation. We're going to let the eyes stay forward and the body is going to, here's the head, the body is just going to do its thing under the head, right? So since the right shoulder is back, just put the right hand up as if you're going to wave at somebody in front of you. And then you're going to take the left hand and just cover the right, as if you're holding a ball, kind of similar to the size ball you were holding when we did around the platter variation. Now, as you allow your stack of Oreos to rotate to the left, it's just going to pull the left hand. So it's going to pull the hands along for the ride. And as it rotates back to the right, It's going to pull the hands along for the ride. And the hands are just going to make a circle in the air. If we were actually holding that shower scrubby down there on the floor, and there was a pane of glass, a fogged up pane of glass in front of us, we would be scrubbing a circle on the glass. We're just going to keep rotating here 6 times. And on this last one, we're simply going to float right back to neutral and feel the body resting. And now we're going to do the other side. So let your stack of Oreos rotate to the left. You're going to know if that occurred because your right knee is going to slide forward and your left shoulder is going to go back. And put your left hand up as if you're going to wave at someone in front of you. Cover it with your right hand. And as your stack of Oreos rotates back to the right, the hands are going to come along for the ride. And we're going to do 6 rotations going this direction. Oof, talk about circularity. Look at what the hands are doing here in the air. Isn't that beautiful? Normally we would do 3 sets of 3 rotations for this movement. But since I'm teaching it differently today, I'm modifying it. Let's do one more. And then float back to neutral.
It's so different on the
Say it again.
second. It felt so different on the second side.
There you go. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because there's no such thing as a completely symmetrical human body. No matter how fit or healthy we are, there's soft tissue that's never going to be as loose on one side as it is on the other, or you might have a bone that's shorter or whatever. So you might feel differences, dramatic differences from day to day or from side to side, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's another reason why I love this practice so much. It's so adaptable and so accessible. I've been changing the order of things today like crazy, changing the number of reps. Again, the Tai Chi police have not taken me away. It's all good, and it just keeps getting gooder. So since we just, now, for those of you who are very Dantian savvy, you might have noticed that when you turn one direction, the Dantian kind of opens over the knee that slid back. And then when you come back to the middle, it's kind of neutral. And then when you turn to the other side, it kind of opens over the other knee that now slid back. But that might be too esoteric for you. Take my word for it, though. The Dantian is expanding and contracting, expanding and contracting. It just, you might feel differently on the inside of your body than it does when you're moving forward and back. Let's do passing clouds. I'm going to leap all the way down to the third to last movement, second to last movement, because it's so similar to the one we just did. We just did a movement in which the hands traveled together, right? And now we're going to do a movement in which the hands travel independently, but otherwise the exact same movement, okay? All right, so let's begin by feeling the body at rest in the chair. Again, the head just floating weightlessly, the spine hanging down, the sit bones at the bottom of the spine resting against the chair. And now we're going to turn that stack of Oreos to your left. And the way you're going to know that that happened is your right knee is going to slide forward and your left shoulder will go back. And we're going to put the left hand up as if you're high-fiving someone to the side of you. Yeah. In fact, we're just going to leave the right hand here for a bit. We're going to do a couple of rotations, one hand only, and then we're going to do a couple of rotations, the other hand, and then we'll put them all together. Okay, so here we go. As the stack of Oreos rotates to the right, let it sweep the left hand along for the ride. So we're still going to be making circles in the air, just like we did when we were carrying the ball to the side. Only one little difference. At the bottom, it'll be sweeping perpendicular to the body. At the top, it will just sort of pass by your lower lip or your chin while facing. You remember how I always remember this, Erica? Remember the chocolate? Yeah. So I always think of this as I'm keep my fingers through the chocolate at the bottom, and then I'm going to lick them on the way back. Let's do one more with this hand. And now we're going to let this hand rest. And now we're going to turn the stack of Oreos to your right, and the right hand will go up. And we're going to do circles just with the right hand. Let's do a couple. All right. And remember, let the body do its thing under the head. So the eyes and the head will stay forward, but the shoulders and everything else will just rotate, rotate, rotate. Let's do one more. And we're going to come back to neutral and just rest. Good. And let's put the whole thing together. And if anybody gets lost, including me or Erica, no sweat. There's no Tai Chi Cha police, right? Just enjoy the ride. How often do you get to just sort of move slowly, smoothly, as if in a dream, and everybody says, wow, that's the best thing you've done all day. It's making you healthier. I can just see it. So just have fun. Okay. It is called Joy Through Movement. That is the subtitle of this practice, right? All right. So we're going to turn the stack of Oreos to the left. The left hand is going to go up. Good. The head's going to stay forward, though, even though I was looking at you for a minute. As the stack of Oreos turns to the right, it moves the left hand along. Now, as the torso turns to the left, it's going to sweep the right hand in. Yeah. And look, if Erica gets lost, no biggie. Yeah, here we go. That's it. Yep, she's got it. Yep, she's got it. And even if she didn't get it, she could have simply dropped one hand and continued to do the movements with one hand only. Or she could have dropped both hands and just let her torso turn from side to side. There is no such thing as bad Tai Chi Cha. Even mental Tai Chi Cha is perfectly adequate. Nice. Let's do one more. And we're going to end by just flowing back down to rest any way that's easiest. Feel the body resting for a moment. Let's do a movement called pulling taffy. We'll do it one hand at a time, and then we'll do it with both hands. And then I think we'll fast forward up to perpetual motion taffy. We'll see what time it is and figure out if we have time for the others. Okay. So again, we're going to let that stack of Oreos just rotate. And the way you'll know if that's happening is one shoulder will come forward and then the other. You'll probably notice the opposing knee will slide back and then the other. Okay. So let's all turn the stack of Oreos, rotate it to the right, and this left shoulder is going to come forward, the right knee is going to slide back. Since the left shoulder is forward, just let it send the left arm across the belly, palm up. It's almost like you're holding a tray here. And again, if you had a tray of food, you want it to be level, otherwise things would slide off the front or slosh into your elbow, right? So as your torso rotates to the left hand is just going to come along for the ride. Yeah. And then you're going to rest by coming back to the middle. And let's do the other side. So as you rotate to your left, it's going to pull the right arm across the body. Yeah, she got it. And even if she didn't, it would have been fine. And as you rotate to the right, yeah, and then we're going to come back to neutral. Let's do one more set with one arm. Okay. Rotate your body to the right. It's going to pull the left arm across the belly. As you rotate back again, the left arm is going to come along for the ride, and then we'll rest. Rotate the body to the left. It's going to pull the right arm across the, yes. Let's go back. Nice. Let's do one more one-handed, and then we will add the second arm. Rotate to the right. It pulls the left arm across and back and rest. Yes, good. And rest. Okay, we're going to add the second arm. Here we go. Rotating to the right. Here comes the left arm. Let the other arm just slide up on top. You can even touch the inside and outsides of your elbows, so you know you're going to have a good full pull here. And as you rotate towards your left, the hands will separate, and then you will come to rest in the middle. Rotate towards your left. It's going to, yeah, and the other arm will slide up on top. Exactly. And as you rotate back again, the hands will separate. And yes, good. Let's do one more set with two hands. We're rotating to the right. The other hand slides up on top. The hands pull. And then you rest. Rotate to your left. Yeah, exactly. The hands pull. And then you rest. Good. I tell you what, we're going to do perpetual motion tap. We were pulling taffy with our hands. Pulling energetic taffy with our hands is what we were just doing. We're going to do it perpetually, but I'm going to have Erica doing it one hand at a time, and I'm going to do it with two hands, and you can choose which one you want to do. What an advantage having two people here. This is great. Okay, so we're just going to keep going. There's going to be no rest in between. All right. So see if you notice your shoulders doing their thing when you rotate that stack of Oreos, okay? Whichever shoulder is forward, that hand is going to come across the belly with the palm up. And then if the other shoulder is forward, that's the hand. Yes, good, okay? So first we're going to rotate to the right. It's going to pull the left hand. And as we go over to the other side, it's going to pull the right hand. We're just going to keep going back and forth. Yes. Let's do this a couple times. Yeah. In fact, let's slow it down. Slowly return. Like that old joke. Feel your shoulders rotating, and you'll know which hand goes where. Yes. Yeah. Do you feel comfortable, Erica, keeping on going? You feel good? All right. So I'm going to add the second arm. Don't pay any attention to me, Erica. Just keep going. And if anybody gets lost, so what? There's no such thing as bad Tai Chi Cha. Exactly. And if you're doing it with two hands, whichever shoulder is forward, that's the underhand. And then they just switch. That's the only trick. And we're going to flow back to center here. Let's just rest for a few moments. We got through all but about 3 of the movements today. It may not have seemed that way because I shortened a bunch of them up. But we did, no, 4. We skipped 4. But 4 out of 20 ain't bad. So let's end by doing the cosmic consciousness pose. Okay. If we were standing, we would do something special with our feet. But since we're not standing, we're not going to do anything with our feet. We're just going to let the arms rise up to about shoulder height. And if this feels like work, because remember we always say the effort of no effort here, just imagine that you're resting your forearms on a countertop. It takes all the work out of it, right? And the fingertips are going to overlap. And if you want to get technical about it, the left hand is the one that's closer to your body. If you have trouble remembering that, I always remember it's the same one on the side of your body that you have a heart on. Okay? And we're just going to hang out here for a few moments. This is actually considered the 20th movement of Tai Chi Cha. It's really not a movement, it's a pose. Just feel your sit bones touching the chair. If you like, you can soften your gaze so that you're seeing things between your fingers and beyond, and really your peripheral vision is quite expanded under those conditions. Just be here for a few moments. And let's flow back down to rest in the chair. And let's spend a few more moments with our singing bowl too. So again, just visualize the head as that losing some air helium balloon just hovering there. Notice the spine simply hanging down from the head almost as effortlessly as the string hangs down from the balloon. Notice your sit bones at the bottom of the spine, touching the chair. Perhaps noticing the weight of your hands on your thighs. Perhaps noticing anything firm under your feet, insides of your shoes, the planks of your floor. And pick a spot, preferably somewhere between your belly button and the floor, to really focus your attention on. Any spot is perfectly fine. I'm going to call the bell and see if you can continue focusing on that spot until I call you back. Here we go. So again, I'm Jessica Lewis. Yeah, I have a little company called Sculpt Your Life. You can Google me, and I've been told that if you Google any combination of the words Jessica Lewis and Sculpt Your Life, I will pop up right away. But if you want to find my website, I do spell the website a little differently, mostly because the domain was already taken when I went to get it 20 years ago. So it's www, of course, dot sculpt, SCULPT, URLIFE.com. But again, just Google me, I'll pop right up. And thank you so much again for being here today. Many of you come week after week after week. I'm so grateful for your time and your attention. And we won't be here in 2 weeks. We'll be here in 3 weeks at noon on the 30th. Thank you. I forgot the date. And there will be live peeps here too.
We want you to come in person if you're able.
Please come in person if you're able. And thank you, Erica, for being here, my lovely,
Namaste.
my accomplice here, my partner in crime. Have a namaste. And we'll see you all soon.